You know what this flag stands for? It stands for freedom. Freedom, people. It's what we're fighting for. It's what we live for. And it's what wars are fought for. In fact, many of you don't know that there's a war going on right now in your backyard. And for some of you, literally, it could be in your backyard. We live here in Texas, and this could very well be taking place right outside. Of course, I'm not talking about a real war. I'm talking about the war in Livestock Uprising. Livestock Uprising is a 1 to 4 player game. It's hilarious. It's from the guys at Dogmite Games. It funded successfully on Kickstarter, and in the game you take the role of one of 4 factions. You get to play as either the cows, the chickens, the pigs, or the goats as they fight for supremacy on the farm. Using resource management, you're going to hire units into an army, and you're going to take this army and sweep across the field, literally, and try and take out your opponents before they get too big to take you out. Now, I was really lucky to pick up this game. I got some sweet accessories for it. I wanted to go ahead and do a little review for it because, like I said, the game is hilarious. It's a whole lot of fun, and it's great on the table. So speaking of, let's go straight to the table and let me show you what this game is all about. Alright, so here you see a 3-player setup of Livestock Uprising. Now, I know it's a lot to take in. I'm going to explain this the best as I can. The board is comprised of little tiles, and each of these tiles has either a resource or a blank space or some terrain on it, and on the back is a number. So the number corresponds to how many players you have playing the game. So when you're setting up the game, you want to make sure that you take out all of the tiles that have the numbers up to the amount of people you have playing with you. I have a 3-player game set up, so I have only the tiles that have 2 and 3 on them. In the book, it shows you a diagram on how to set up the game. The long and short of it, each faction has their own barn. Let me show this to you. Their barn is pretty much their home base, and once you set up the initial little map here, you place your barns on, and you continue going around until you have a set number of tiles, and for a 3-player game, it's a 7x7 grid. Each player is going to start out with a battle board here. Let me see if I can get that in the shot. There we go. A battle board, and the battle board is going to have a lot of information on it. Over here, it shows you the troop costs and the type. And over here, it's got some special troops. Each faction has 3 special troops that are better than the original troops that you can buy on your turn. I'll get into that in a moment. But that's the information on the battle board here. Each faction has 3 different generals. You have a 1-star, a 2-star, and a 3-star general. For the most part, the stars don't really matter. It's just how you tell them apart. Let me get him up. He's sleeping on the job. Now, the aim of Livestock Uprising is to create a giant army for your faction and just go across the board and wipe out your opponents. The way that you do this is by expending resources to build troops, essentially build troops, to add to your armies. Each general can have their own army, and in each army you can have up to 5 troops. So you can have a total of 15 troops together on the board at one time. Each troop is going to have 2 stats on them. You're going to have a fire icon and a shield icon. The shield icon is their defense, and the fire icon is their attack. At the bottom of the card here, this shows you what type of resource each troop can harvest. Because the game takes place in a series of turns which are made up of phases. During your turn, you have an action phase, a harvest phase, and a marshalling phase. During your turn, you're going to do each of these actions and with all of your generals, and then play will pass to the person on your left. So let's go over the turn phases, and I'll explain a little bit more about the game as we go. The way that you're going to harvest resources is your troops and armies and generals are going to move about the board. So during your action phase, you can move each of your generals 2 squares in any direction. They can be diagonal, they can be left and right, up and down, horizontal, vertical. However you want to do it, you can move each general 2 spaces. Then you can attack if you move into a space with another general. Now, you can't move into your opponent's barns until the end of the game. I'll get to that in a little bit. I'll talk about attacks here in a little bit as well. After you have your movement, you're going to go into your harvest phase. What that means is whatever icon you land on, whether it be grass or corn or apples or hay, you can harvest one of that resource. Here's the catch though. Generals can only harvest grass. They can only bring this into your supply. So you'll want to move, for instance, let's say I want to move 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll move around and around. Let's just say that I was on this grass, and for the sake of some IT video magic, let's just say this tile was actually here. So I landed on a grass tile. So during my harvest phase, I will go over to my awesome trough of foodstuffs. This was actually a Kickstarter exclusive that Dogmite sent me, because Dogmite's awesome, guys, if you haven't figured this out already. So you're going to go and get one of these resources, little chit right here, and you're going to add it to your resource pool. Now, once you're done moving about and harvesting, you have a marshaling phase. During the marshaling phase, you can buy as many troops as you can afford. So, chances are, in the beginning, you're only going to be able to start at the bottom. So, when you look at your handy-dandy battle board, you're going to see that Sacrificial Sheep is at the top, then the Dynamite Donkey, the Bloodthirsty Llama, the Berserker Horse, and the Ornery Oxen. And the way this works is the symbols to the right of the name is what type of resources they cost to add them to an army. So, let's say it's my marshaling phase and I have 2 grass. If it's during my marshaling phase, I can spend this 2 grass and purchase a Sacrificial Sheep. And I can put this Sacrificial Sheep anywhere on my board, pretty much under any general I wish. Just remembering that each general can only have 5 troops in their army. So, I will go around the board, I've moved, I have harvested, I have marshaled, my turn is over. Play will continue going around the board until, well, we start butting heads, and I'll explain that now. Let's say that I have a general here, and I've got a Sacrificial Sheep, a Dynamite Donkey, and a Berserker Horse in this general, in my first general's army. What I like to do is just put them like this so I can see. I just kind of put them together right here. And let's say that my opponent has a Dynamite Donkey and a Bloodthirsty Llama in his 2-star general's army. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of faction you play, these troops are available to everyone. So it's my turn. Let's say that it's my turn to move. So during my action phase, I'm going to want to move. And let's say, you know, he's bothering me. I don't want him in my grill over here. I don't want him coming into my chicken coop, messing with my chickens. This is my deal. So I'm going to move into his spot, and then I'm going to initiate an attack. And here's how an attack works. When you attack another player, you add up the number of orange fire symbols on your... Let me move this down. So you're going to add up the number of orange fire symbols in the army that's attacking. So I have 1, 2, 3. So I've got a total of 3. Then what I'm going to do is roll 1 single die matching the color of my faction and add that number to it. So I rolled a 3 on the die and I have a 3 attack, so my total attack is 6. Now let's go to my opponent. My opponent adds up all of the numbers in the shields, 1 and 1, which is 2, and rolls his die as well. He rolled a 3. That added together is a 5. My 6 beats his 5, which means I win in the attack. If you win in the attack, your defender loses a casualty, or suffers a casualty, which means they lose a troop of their choice from that army. If I were to attack them and they were to beat me, I would have to suffer a casualty from my army. And then I would just be kind of boned because I went in with 5 chickens, I only come out with 2. It's not good for me, it's not good for the business. So, you're going to continue building armies, attacking each other. You have these really cool command cards, which you can play on your turn or off your turn, depending on what the card says. For instance, play this card at any time to prevent an army of your choice from moving this turn. Play this card on your turn immediately to move one of your armies to your barn. And that's important because once you're done going around the board and getting all of these harvesting and doing all of the building of armies, you're eventually going to want to come back to home base. And the cool thing about doing that is once you come back to home base, you're going to assemble the super army. And this is the kicker. Let me show it to you. When you build a super army, you're going to flip your board over. You're going to need to have all of your generals back at your barn. You're going to take the total number of all of the troops that you have and all of your armies and put them together. And you're going to get a big giant total. You're going to add all of the orange symbols up and all of the defense symbols up, the blue symbols. And the way this works is the numbers that you get, you're going to put your first star general on the number that you get with your attack, and you're going to put your 3-star general on the number that you get with your defense. And what's going to happen is this becomes your super army. You're going to put the super army token in the standee, and they will be at your barn. Now remember earlier when I said that you can't go into your opponent's barns? With your super army, they break that rule. I have an army of chickens that is ready to devastate this entire farm. We're going to take it over. We're going to do what we want. No chicken run 2. Nobody's escaping. We are ready to rule the roost. Once you assemble your super army, then it just becomes bulldozing time. You want to move about the board. You want to attack your other opponents. The difference between the super army and your regular armies is that the super armies can attack with 2 dice, they defend with 2 dice, they deal 2 casualties when they win, and you basically just want to wipe out your opponents. The last one standing wins, and yes, it is possible to assemble your super army and defeat your opponents before they even put their super armies together. I know, because I've done it. And once you get done demolishing, you're just going to steamroll your opponents and you're going to come out the winner. One thing I want to say before I'm done here. Once you assemble your super army, you're going to draw one of these special battle plans cards. Think of the command cards that I showed you a minute ago, but on some super crack. These things are extremely powerful. You only get one of them, so that tells you just how powerful they are. And used at the right time, they can really change the tide of battle. So, playing your cards correctly, literally, and using strategy to your advantage, you're going to move about the board, attack your opponents, and get your faction to the top of that food pyramid on the farm. Well, gamers, there you go. That's Livestock Uprising. I really, really love the hilarity of this game. I've brought it to the table many times. I've had a lot of fun with family and friends with this game. It's amazing how it looks so simple on the outside, but when you get in and you get playing it, it's one of those games that's really easy to learn, easy to pick up, but really hard to master. When you put one of these special troops into your army, it gives you a special ability that each faction has but doesn't get to use until you put one of your special troops into the army. The chickens, their special ability is they can move 3 spaces instead of 2. The chickens get out of hand so quick that is unbelievable. I play the chickens all the time unless I'm playing with my family, and then they want to make sure I don't play the chickens because I just steamroll people. And it's funny because the guys at Dogmite thought that the chickens were going to be underpowered. They're not underpowered. They are terrifying and they will cluck your eyes out. And that's what I absolutely love about this game. You really can't expect anything. You really have to make sure that you know what you're doing and just have fun with it. The artwork is fantastic. I was really, really happy to get some extra artwork from Dogmite in the mail because it's so fantastic. They have a lot of extra things for the game, such as the trough like I showed you. There's a really, really cool wooden box that I want so bad that has the flame engraved in it, and it holds everything. It is just perfect. Livestock Uprising is available now. It did fund through Kickstarter, but Dogmite is selling it on their website. Make sure you check the link in the description below. I had a blast doing this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And Dogmite, thank you so very much for all the support that you've given us since we have created this relationship with you. And for all of our readers and viewers, thank you for the relationship that you've helped create with us. We really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, play a game, will ya?